Once again, my name is Nick Wayset Johnny, and I would like to welcome you to the Haven Project Presents Study with Seth. In this video, we will discuss logic and critical thinking. We will be looking at the unit 3 or the third unit of logic and critical thinking, and that speaks about critical thinking and a critical thinker. So the whole of the unit 3 slides is actually talking about critical thinking, right? And a critical thinker is really touching on the critical thinking aspect of logic and critical thinking. Yes, so the outline for this unit is, the first we'll look at the disposition of a critical thinker. Disposition means nature, so or mentality. So the nature or mentality of a critical thinker. Now, the second thing we'll look at is elements of thought, right? What thought contains, or the process of thinking, or the thought process. We also analyze universal intellectual standards, intellectual virtues, and then impediments to critical thinking. So impediments to critical thinking being the factors that hinder or prevent or oppose the critical thinker. Yes, so let's begin. So the first part of our tutorials, disposition of a critical thinker. Disposition meaning what? Nature or mentality. As you can see here, there are 7 elements in the mentality of a critical thinker. Starting from what? Interpretation, analysis, evaluation, inference, explanation, synthesis, and self-regulation. We are gonna delve deep into each one of these elements, but this is a mnemonic to help understand it better. So IAE squared. So IAE squared. IAE squared. So just keep saying that and you'll never forget it, right? IAE squared. I for interpretation, A for analysis, E for evaluation, I for inference, E again for explanation, then S, synthesis, S, self-regulation. Yes, so let's delve deep into each of these elements of the disposition that a critical thinker possesses. Let's go. So the first step we have is interpretation. This is talking. So we look at 3 things under this. First is categorization, decode significance, and then clarify meaning. So what does this mean? So as a critical thinker, this is just saying that you have to have the ability to what? Categorize information. Let's say someone makes a representation, right? In logic and critical thinking, when someone says something or thinks or proposes a belief or a statement or a fact, we call that a representation, right? So let's say someone says something or someone makes a representation. As a critical thinker, you must have the ability to categorize what they are saying, decode the significance. So back to categorization. When you talk about categorization, it's talking about the process of grouping something into groups or classes. So you should be able to understand that, okay, this is what the representation is saying, right? So you can break it down, right? You can decode the significance of whatever the representation is about. So you decode the significance, you break it down and identify what's important. And then you categorize them. Okay, this is the important aspect of what the person said, and these are the extra stuff not really needed. And clarify meaning, right? You should be able to understand what someone is saying. Even when someone isn't speaking well, you should be able to, have that skill to identify their arguments, their representations, and understand what they are saying, the key points of what someone is saying, right? Have you ever been in a situation that you are saying something, you're just beating about the bush, and then the other person asks you that, please get to the point, right? So, as a critical thinker, you should be able to, identify the point in what someone is saying. Let's look at the next step. Yes, so analysis. That's the second skill. So we talked about three things: examine ideas, identify arguments, identify reasons, and claims. Now, in logic, an argument is made up of reasons, and a claim. So basically, you say something, you make an assertion, or you make a statement, and then you provide further statements that support what you have said, or the reason for which you are saying what it is that you have said. So the claim is supported by the reasons. And so reasons and claims make up an argument. So as a critical thinker, you must possess the skills in analysis to always identify, the arguments in someone's representations. Also, the ability to examine ideas. Someone makes a representation, or your own representation, your own thoughts, you should be able to examine them. So what am I trying to say? Quite similar to interpretation, right? But the difference is, a thin line. So this will make more sense in the next step. So let's look at the next step, which is evaluation. Yes, so as a critical thinker, you have the ability to interpret, you have the ability to analyze. How are you doing all this? Now, this is where evaluation comes in. So, as a critical thinker, you possess, or you should possess, the skill to what? Query evidence. Now, query simply means to test something, or to examine something, or to question something. So question the evidence, right? Is it reasonable? Is the evidence provided enough grounds to make a claim? Alternative conjecture, or conjectures, or speculations, right? So after you have listened to someone, after you have obtained some information, conjecture is speaking to speculation. You have to have the ability to make certain speculations. You'll not be really sure about them, but they are like half and half conclusions, right? But you can only make those conclusions with the given information. So conjecture is talking about making speculations about something with incomplete information. So under evaluation, after you have analyzed and interpreted something, you have to look at the alternative conjectures, right? The alternative speculations, or the other claims that whatever the person, or whatever the statement can be, we consider the statement is also making. So we looked at this in the definition of critical thinking by John Dewey. That's in our Unit 1 video, so you can take a look at that as well. Now, draw logically valid or justified conclusion. Now, in logic, a conclusion is said to be valid if it draws its inference or its support from the reasons it gives. So if you should be able to draw the logically valid or justified conclusion from your argument, from your premises, because remember you said premises and conclusions make up an argument. So you should be able to draw a justified conclusion from any given premises. That's it for evaluation. Let's look at the fourth step. Yes, so we look at the next two elements, in the disposition of a critical thinker: inference and explanation. Inference. Inference is talking about your ability as a critical thinker to assess the credibility of claims. Remember, we said two things make up an argument: the claims and the reasons. So, the credibility of a claim, so we say a claim is credible if it draws support from the reasons. So, if you listen to someone's presentation, you interpret it, you analyze it, and you evaluate it, you should also be able to draw inference from what it is saying, to be able to know that but if I analyze what this individual has said, the reasons he has given are not enough to support the claim, so this claim is not credible. Your ability to assess, so under the same inference, right? I know you can see it. So inference: assess the quality of arguments using inductive and deductive reasoning. Inductive and deductive reasoning. What's inductive reasoning? So when we talk about inductive reasoning, it's speaking to inductive arguments, but that's for another video. So inductive reasoning is simply talking about moving from general to specific. What does this mean? So in inductive reasoning, you make observation, something keeps happening, and then you say that then this will happen. So for example, every day Joshua comes to school at exactly 7 o'clock every single day, right? So you can say that every day Joshua comes to school at 6 o'clock. Today he will come at 6 o'clock. It's just using something that happens over a period of time to make a claim. But with that one, you realize that just because Joshua comes to school every day at 7 o'clock doesn't mean that today you come at 7 o'clock. It's most likely to happen, but you can't be really certain, right? What if today Joshua doesn't come? What if Joshua gets hit by a car? That can happen. So there's not really that degree of certainty in what you're saying. So general to specific. You observe a pattern and you say that okay, then this will happen. But there's not really that certainty over there. It's just about probability. So there's a very high probability of that thing occurring. So it's like saying that the sun shines every day. Tomorrow the sun will shine. So of course, but you don't really know that for sure. But yes, you get what I'm saying. Exactly. So from general to specific, or is there something that's happening? But with deductive reasoning, it's talking about using facts, theories, what you know, to make conclusion your conclusion, or to make your claims. So you don't have to observe anything. You know that specific thing. But for example, the UPSA library, the Joshua Alabi library opens every day at 8:30 a.m. If you go there before 8:30 a.m., you will not enter. Then you realize that no. Right? So that's not something that is general. I know for a fact that if I go to the library at 8 o'clock, I will not be allowed to enter, because it's not 8:30, because they open at 8:30. Before 8:30, you're not going to enter the library to go and do focal. Exactly. So that one is specific. You know what I'm talking about. So you can sound like this. If you go to the library before 8 o'clock, you will not enter. You cannot enter. Right? I know what I'm talking about. I'm certain about it, right? Exactly. But with Joshua's case, every day Joshua comes, imagine if you want to go and talk plenty. Every day Joshua comes at 7 o'clock. Let me go and do bet. Charlie, Charlie, make we bet. Today the show will come 7 o'clock. You are not certain about it, but there's a high probability that what Joshua will come and say 7 o'clock. It's like every day, Barca is scoring this team. Yes, but it's football. Anything can happen. So you can say that, oh, today Barca is playing this team. Barca always scores this team. Barca will score. You can say that, but I'm not really certain about what I'm saying because what? There's always a chance that Barca may not score. What if the match ends in a draw? Exactly. So that's what we're talking about. So that comes under inference. So you assess the quality of an argument using inductive and deductive reasoning. The next one is explanation. You state your results, justify procedures, and present arguments. Right? In logic, you realize that we all make arguments. Basically, most of the things we say in a day, any declaration that you make is an argument. Just that most of the times we don't really provide premises for them. But we will also get to that in the subsequent video. So you have to be able to state your results to the understanding of everyone. Justify your procedure. Justify, what it is that you have said. Present your argument. Argue well. That's it. Let's look at the S squared. That's what? Synthesis and self-regulation. So, self-regulation and synthesis. These are the last two. The S squared. So, self-regulation, right? To be able to regulate yourself, you have to have that ability to regulate yourself. Without looking at monitoring yourself and controlling yourself. How, in terms of what? So basically, whatever you are saying, right? You should be able to monitor what you are saying. Be responsible for whatever you are saying. So making sure that you are saying what is right. And if you say something that's not right, or you make a representation that's not strong, you have to be able to come and say, no, Charlie, that thing, right? No, I was wrong. Right? Self-control. Be composed, right? Because for you to be a critical thinker, you can't afford to, not be in control of your mind. This right here is very important. If you lose it, you cannot be a critical thinker. Control yourself, chemu, chocho, mapadi, but that's check yourself. Exactly. So that's what he's talking about. Synthesis. Right? Photosynthesis. Talking about your ability to what? Put things together. Right? Take this fact, take these principles. Okay, this. Exactly. So basically any theory you know of was synthesized. Exactly. So that is it for the first part. You have come from far. Wow. So this is the first part. 4 more to go. Stay strong. All right.